Imagine this. You're standing on the shore watching the ocean. The waves roll in, calm and steady. Then suddenly, without warning, a storm erupts. The winds howl, the sky darkens, and towering waves crash against the shore. In that moment, you realize you have no control over the storm. Life is the same way. One moment, everything is peaceful. The next, stress, anger, disappointment, or uncertainty crash into us like an unexpected wave. We get swept away, caught in the turbulence of emotions we never saw coming. But here's the question. Must we be at the mercy of every storm that life throws our way? Or can we learn to stand firm, like an unshakable mountain amidst the chaos? Buddhism teaches us that peace is not something found outside ourselves. It's not in the perfect job, the right relationship, or a world free of problems. True peace comes from within. It is not about controlling the storm. It's about learning how to remain still in its presence. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." Our suffering does not come from the things that happen to us, but from how we react to them. And that is something we have the power to change. So today, let's explore how to train your mind to stay calm in any situation. No matter how chaotic, no matter how overwhelming, we'll dive into timeless Buddhist wisdom, real-life examples, and practical techniques to help you cultivate a mind that is steady, unshaken, and at peace. By the end of this journey, you'll have something far greater than just knowledge. You'll have the tools to build an unshakable inner peace, one that no storm can destroy. Are you ready? Let's begin. 1. Master your mind, or it will master you. Have you ever felt like your mind was working against you? Negative thoughts flood in uninvited. Anger flares up before you can stop it. Anxiety tightens its grip, making you feel powerless. This is what happens when the mind is left untamed. It takes control, and we become its captive. Buddhism teaches us that the mind, when untrained, is like a wild monkey, restless, impulsive, easily disturbed. But with discipline and awareness, we can tame this monkey mind and transform it into a source of wisdom and serenity. Imagine this. You're at a gathering, enjoying yourself, when suddenly someone makes a negative remark about you in front of everyone. If your mind is untrained, what happens? You feel a rush of anger, your heart races, and the urge to retaliate bubbles up. But take a moment. Is it truly you who is reacting, or is it just your mind, conditioned by ego and pride? Let's dive deeper into this. Imagine a monk sitting quietly under a tree in a bustling marketplace. A man approaches him, and for no apparent reason, begins to insult him. He calls him useless, weak, a fraud. The monk remains unmoved, simply observing the man with calm eyes. This infuriates the man further. He shouts louder, hurling harsher words. Finally exhausted, he demands, "Why don't you respond? Why don't you defend yourself?" The monk smiles and asks, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" Confused, the man replies, "To the one who offered it." The monk nods. "Exactly. So why should I accept your anger?" This is the essence of mental mastery. Most people, when insulted, react as if they have no choice. They accept the gift of anger and let it consume them. But a trained mind recognizes that it does not have to engage, it does not have to react. The Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh, reminds us, "Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor." Instead of reacting immediately, pause, take a deep breath, observe your anger like an outsider watching a storm from a safe distance. See it arise, but do not become it. Here's another scenario. You're in a meeting and a colleague rudely interrupts you, dismissing your ideas. Your initial reaction is indignation. Your mind screams, "How dare they?" But in that moment, you have a choice. You can let the emotion hijack your response, or you can pause, breathe, and decide how to act with wisdom instead of impulse. A truly calm person understands that the power lies in their reaction, not in the event itself. When you can control your response, you reclaim your peace. And when you reclaim your peace, you reclaim your power. But let's be honest, this isn't easy. It requires daily training. Just as a musician does not master an instrument overnight, we cannot expect to master our minds without practice. Each moment of irritation is an opportunity to train. The next time someone criticizes you, resist the urge to react. The next time anxiety creeps in, remind yourself that your thoughts are not reality, they are just passing clouds. Buddhism teaches that the mind makes a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. When left unchecked, it will pull us into suffering, convincing us that we must react to everything. But when we take the reins, when we practice stillness and awareness, we unlock a freedom that few ever attain. So the question is, will you master your mind, or will you let it master you? 2. Anger never solves problems. It creates them. Anger is a fire. It burns hot, consumes quickly, and leaves destruction in its wake. We often justify it, thinking it gives us power, but in truth, it blinds us and makes us weak. Consider this. You're driving peacefully when suddenly another car cuts you off recklessly. Instinctively, your blood pressure rises. You grip the wheel tighter. Maybe you honk aggressively, or worse, chase the driver in a moment of rage. But pause. Does your anger change the situation? The Buddha taught that anger is like holding a hot coal with the intent to throw it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Instead of fueling the fire, what if you let it pass? What if, instead of reacting with fury, you simply smiled, took a deep breath, and continued driving? You would feel lighter, more in control. And that, my friend, is true strength. A Zen story illustrates this well. A warrior once approached a wise monk, asking, "Master, what is the difference between heaven and hell?" The monk looked at the warrior and scoffed. "You're nothing but a brute. Why would I waste my time teaching you?" Instantly, the warrior's anger exploded. He drew his sword ready to strike. The monk then calmly said, "That is hell." The warrior, realizing his foolishness, lowered his weapon and bowed deeply. The monk smiled. And that, my friend, is heaven. Hell is when we let anger control us. Heaven is when we control it. But let's take this lesson even further. Imagine a mother who has spent the entire day tending to her children, running errands, handling work, and by the time evening arrives, she is completely drained. Then one of the kids spills a glass of milk. At that moment, fatigue and frustration ignite like dry tinder, and before she realizes it, she snaps, raising her voice, letting her irritation boil over. Seconds later, guilt floods in. She sees the look of fear or sadness in her child's eyes, and just like that, she realizes her anger did not serve her. It did not fix anything. It only created more suffering. So what could she have done differently? She could have paused. She could have taken a deep breath, noticed the frustration rising, but instead of acting on it, let it pass like a wave returning to the sea. She could have spoken gently, reminding herself that a spilled glass of milk is not a disaster, but a moment to practice patience. This is why Buddhism teaches us to become observers of our emotions rather than slaves to them. When anger arises, do not immediately react. Watch it, see where it comes from. Is it truly the event that made you angry, or is it your exhaustion, your expectations, your own inner turmoil? A powerful Buddhist teaching says, when the student is ready, the lesson appears. And here's the lesson. Anger is not power. Restraint is. Now let's take a moment to reflect. Think of the last time you lost your temper. Did it solve anything? Did it bring peace to you or those around you? No, because anger never fixes problems. It only creates more of them. But now, you have the choice. The next time frustration surges, will you let it consume you, or will you take control and master it? The choice is always yours. 3. True strength lies in calmness, not in outbursts. In our world, people often mistake aggression for power. The loudest person in the room is seen as dominant. The one who yells the most is thought to be the strongest. But Buddhism reveals a deeper truth. Real strength is found in silence, in restraint, in the ability to remain unshaken. Think about this. Have you ever seen a truly powerful leader lose their temper in a fit of rage? Probably not. The most influential figures in history, from the Buddha himself to great leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and the Dalai Lama, all possessed one thing in common: an unwavering sense of calm. They did not need to raise their voices to command respect. Their presence alone carried a weight that words never could. Mahatma Gandhi demonstrated this power through non-violence. No shouting, no threats, just unshakable composure. And in the end, his stillness changed the course of history. His ability to remain firm in his beliefs, even when faced with violence and oppression, was what made his movement unstoppable. This is the kind of strength that cannot be broken. Let's take a more personal example. Imagine you are in a heated argument with a colleague. They are raising their voice, trying to overpower you with aggression, expecting you to retaliate. But instead you take a deep breath. You pause. You do not react in anger. You simply listen, nod, and when the time is right, you respond calmly, without hostility. What happens next? Your colleague, expecting a fight, suddenly feels off balance. They were prepared for resistance, but instead, they are met with stillness, and in that moment, they realize they have lost control, while you have maintained yours. This is the power of calm resilience. The story of the samurai and the Zen master. A fierce samurai, known for his short temper, once sought out a wise Zen master and demanded, "Teach me about heaven and hell." The master looked at him and scoffed. "You, a dirty, foolish warrior, you could never understand such teachings." The samurai's blood boiled. His hands clenched into fists. He drew his sword, ready to strike down the old man. The master, still completely unfazed, said calmly, "That is hell." The samurai froze. A wave of realization washed over him. He understood. Slowly, he lowered his weapon, his anger dissolving into humility. The master smiled. "And that, my friend, is heaven." This story reminds us of a powerful lesson. True strength is not in the sword, but in the ability to put it down. The next time someone tries to provoke you, try an experiment. Don't react. Stay silent. Look at them with kindness, and let their words pass like wind through an open window. You will notice something remarkable. They will become more unsettled than you. Why? Because they expected resistance, and your silence disarms them. This is why the strongest tree in the storm is not the stiffest one. It is the one that bends but does not break. The oak tree does not resist the wind. It moves with it, yet remains rooted in the earth. Likewise, when we remain calm in the face of anger, we do not surrender. We demonstrate unshakable inner power. And here's the real secret. When you cultivate this kind of calm, people will begin to see you differently. They will respect you not because you demand it, but because you embody it. You will be the presence in the room that carries an air of quiet authority, the kind of strength that speaks louder than words ever could. So the next time you find yourself in a difficult situation, ask yourself, do I want to be controlled by my emotions, or do I want to be the one in control? the choice is always yours. 4. The world is unfair, but that doesn't matter. Yes, life is unfair. People betray us. Hard work goes unrecognized. Injustice exists. But does dwelling on it bring peace? No. Many spend their entire lives consumed by resentment, replaying the same grievances over and over, believing that if they hold on to their pain long enough, somehow the universe will balance the scales. But the truth is, life was never designed to be fair. It does not follow a script where every wrong is corrected and every good deed is rewarded. And yet, when we stop fighting against this reality, we find something even greater: freedom. Nick Vujicic, born without arms or legs, could have succumbed to despair. He could have spent his life lamenting his fate, asking, "Why me?" Instead, he chose to focus on what he could control: his spirit, his attitude. Today, he is one of the most inspiring speakers in the world, proving that what happens to us matters far less than how we respond to it. Buddhism teaches us, do not waste time resisting reality. Instead, embrace it and rise above it. When you stop fighting the unfairness of life and start accepting it, you liberate yourself from suffering. But let's take this idea even deeper. Imagine a farmer in ancient China whose horse ran away. His neighbors pitied him, saying, "Such bad luck." The farmer only replied, "Maybe." A few days later, the horse returned, bringing with it a herd of wild horses. The neighbors exclaimed, "How fortunate you are." Again, the farmer said, "Maybe." Later, his son tried taming one of the horses and broke his leg. The neighbors sighed, "How unfortunate." But the farmer remained indifferent. Maybe. Soon after, a war broke out, and all the young men in the village were drafted, except his son, who was injured. Now the villagers called him lucky. What is the lesson here? Life's events are neither inherently good nor bad. It is our perception that makes them so. What seems like a tragedy today may turn out to be a blessing tomorrow. What feels like injustice now may be paving the way for something greater in the future. Yet, how many people trap themselves in bitterness, unable to see beyond their immediate suffering? A person overlooked for a promotion may spend years resenting their boss, only to later discover that had they gotten the job, they would have been stuck in a miserable, high-stress position. A rejected lover may drown in heartbreak, unaware that life is clearing the way for a far deeper and more meaningful connection. Buddhism teaches that attachment to fairness is a form of suffering. When we expect the world to distribute rewards and punishments evenly, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Instead, we must learn to accept what is, not with passivity, but with wisdom. So how do we practice this? Shift your focus from why me to what now. Instead of dwelling on the injustice of a situation, ask yourself, what can I do next? What is within my control? The energy wasted on resentment can be redirected toward growth and resilience. Embrace impermanence. Nothing, neither suffering nor success, lasts forever. When faced with hardship, remind yourself, this too shall pass. Clinging to past grievances only keeps you stuck in suffering. Practice radical acceptance. This does not mean resignation. It means seeing life as it is, not as we wish it to be. And from this place of clarity, we can move forward with wisdom. Think of a river encountering a boulder in its path. Does it stop and complain? No, it flows around it, adapting, continuing forward, unconcerned by the obstacle. Likewise, when we let go of the expectation that life should be fair, we stop wasting time resisting, and instead, we flow. Injustice exists. Betrayal happens. Good deeds may go unnoticed. But none of these things have the power to take away your inner peace, unless you let them. So the question is, Will you remain stuck in resentment, or will you choose to rise above it? The choice, as always, is yours. 5. The present moment is the only one that exists. Most people live trapped in either the past or the future, regretting what has happened, worrying about what hasn't. But in doing so, they miss the only moment that truly matters. This one. The Zen master Suzuki Roshi said, "The most important moment of your life is this one, so why waste it?" But let's be honest, it's easier said than done. The mind loves to wander. It clings to old wounds, replays past mistakes, or fixates on uncertain futures. We live in mental time travel, rarely anchored in the now. And yet, what has ever truly happened outside of the present moment? Nothing. Even your memories of the past are thoughts occurring in the now. Even your worries about the future are formed in this very second. A Zen story captures this idea beautifully. A man was walking through the forest when suddenly he heard a rustling behind him. Turning around, he saw a tiger staring at him, its golden eyes fixed on him like prey. Without thinking, he ran. The tiger chased after him, its powerful strides closing the gap. Desperate, the man reached the edge of a cliff. With nowhere else to go, he grabbed a vine and lowered himself down the steep face of the rock. Hanging there, he looked up. The tiger growled above him. He looked down. Another tiger waited at the bottom of the cliff. Then he noticed something, a single ripe strawberry growing from the vine. He reached out, plucked the strawberry, and took a bite. How sweet it was. This story illustrates the essence of mindfulness. The past is the tiger behind us. The future is the tiger below. But in this moment, there is a strawberry. Will you taste it, or will you let fear steal its sweetness? Many of us postpone happiness, saying, "I'll be happy when I get that promotion," or "I'll finally relax when I retire." But life doesn't wait for us to be ready. We either embrace this moment, or we lose it forever. So how can we break free from the illusion of time? Focus on the breath. The breath is always happening now. When you feel overwhelmed, take 3 deep breaths. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. It is a simple yet powerful reminder. I am here. I am alive. I am present. Engage your senses. Right now, stop. What do you hear? What do you feel? The warmth of your skin, the distant hum of a bird outside your window, the scent of your morning coffee. The present moment is alive when you pay attention. Let go of the mind's commentary. The mind is always narrating, labeling, judging, but you are not your thoughts. The next time your mind pulls you into regret or anxiety, watch it as an outsider. See the thoughts come and go like passing clouds. Practice gratitude for now. Instead of thinking about what's missing, notice what's here. Right now, I have food, I have shelter, I have breath in my lungs. This moment is enough. Imagine sitting at a beautiful sunset, but instead of watching it, you scroll through your phone, thinking about work emails. The sun sets whether you notice it or not. Life is the same. It is happening, with or without your presence. So, will you keep waiting for the perfect moment, or will you finally be here? Let's end with this. Where are you right now? Not physically, but mentally. Are you fully in this moment, or are you somewhere else, lost in thought, trapped in worries, replaying yesterday? If you find yourself drifting, come back. Feel your breath. Taste the strawberry, because this moment, it's the only one that truly exists. Final thoughts. Life will always be chaotic. The world around you will never be completely under your control, but that doesn't mean you have to be swept away by its storms. Imagine a great monk standing atop a mountain, watching a storm rage below. The wind howls, the trees bend, the river overflows, but he remains still, untouched by the chaos beneath him. This is the mastery of the mind. The storm exists, but it does not shake him. And so it is with you. You cannot control the world, but you can train your mind to stand firm, like a lighthouse, unwavering amidst crashing waves. A wise master once said, "Your mind is like a wild horse. If you do not train it, it will throw you off and run wild. But if you guide it with patience and discipline, it will take you where you need to go." The question is, who is riding who? Are you in control of your mind, or is your mind in control of you? Remember, control your mind, or it will control you. Do not let fleeting emotions dictate your life. Be the master, not the servant. Anger is never the answer. Fire cannot put out fire. If you wish to find peace, be the one who chooses calm over chaos. True strength is found in stillness, not aggression. The most powerful people are not those who yell the loudest, but those who can remain composed no matter what. Life is unfair, but you can rise above it. When you stop resisting what you cannot change, you free yourself from suffering. The present moment is all you have. Cherish it. Do not waste time living in the past or fearing the future. Be here, be now. So, when life tests you, when the winds howl and the storms come, what will you do? Will you fight against the wind, exhausting yourself in struggle? Or will you stand tall, rooted in wisdom, letting the storm pass through you, untouched? The choice is always yours. And if this message resonated with you, if you found even a small piece of wisdom to carry with you, take a moment to breathe deeply and remind yourself, I am in control of my peace. If you'd like to continue this journey of mindfulness and inner peace, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Join our community of seekers, learners, and those who choose wisdom over worry. And if you found value in this video, share it with someone who might need to hear these words today. Because together we can bring more peace into this world, one calm mind at a time. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.